playing World of Airports, and I have a bunch of airplanes and also some airplanes that I still need to get contracts for. So yeah, I actually did upgrade my airport a little bit here. So like, I got D in that one, D in this one, and D in this one. Why does my mom keep texting me? So I do have some contracts here. Yeah, I did get new contracts. This is one of them. So yeah.
Delta 7953, line up and wait runway 19 left. That's not the case. It's done in a way that you understand common speech. And when you do this common speech, most people do not properly store their medication. If you're going to store them in the bathroom, how it's in the environment, if you're not just that anything. That is going to be now, as a business for one person, the shorter expiration of medication for certain periods of time, more likely to go back. Acid is important because it's advised by the AFP and the CDC that individuals who are considered to be pregnant or are pregnant take 0.4 milligrams of protein per 400 micrograms to 800 micrograms of folic acid as a way to likelihood of neurologic effects. November Golf, Papa Romeo, runway 19 center, clear to land, wind 19 degrees, 19. Start up and push back through. runway 19 left. United 8745, line up and wait runway 19 left. November Lima Charlie India. particular signals from higher rate. Doctors believe the right arm socket, the nerves, sinuses, the forehead, and part of the skull that cradles your brain. I was shocked. I read it, and I was traumatized. The large skin graft surgically covered the whole of Sonara's face. I'm not gonna lie, it seems like it's subpar there. But it really is true. November Tango Kilo Tango, cross runway 19er, center report vacated. Pretty incredible what a difference it makes just to have this little piece of plastic underneath. But face it, back to the conditions in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about you. Now, Delta 9767, line up and wait runway 19er left. There's some kind of words, some root there. Delta 9767 cleared for takeoff. Winds 21 degrees, 1 knot. To patients in certain age groups to prevent the likelihood, especially in subtypes of HPV that takes up a prone to developing circumstances. But since in location, we see cervical cancer rates, cervical cancer that is absolutely top. In addition to things like screening. The 14 days, it might be it's like days as well. This man in a really predisposition to be susceptible to HPV virus that most of us don't have. People have babies who do it, thank you. And there's no specific dermatological treatments here that you can use to decrease the or the attention to make it more comfortable for you to work. Injectable science means that my biggest goal is going to increase the immune system. Very high risk of developing extreme subculture. That's a very basic cancer, and I believe individuals in this condition are like astronomical. At some point, like we will get sometimes it's so there's topical treatments, there's oral medication like retinoids. Interferon is surgical obviously treatments. It's actually from the cell, which is very important because it can speed up those other conditions we talked about. Yeah, see, I'm not seeing a lot of good evidence for using any kind of immune system treatments unless someone is specifically immunocompromised. Mostly preventive measures, which is unfortunately I really wish they got into surgical care because I think with the correct surgical treatment, we would have significantly better quality. And was a healthy baby. But age 4, a benign bone tumor appeared on the right side of her face. So the fact that it's benign is probably a good thing. The only issue is it will affect any kind of anatomy, whether it's breech properly, or eyes to function, and also whether or not it's never expanded. See? Her mother never reached a massive 4.4 pounds. And remember, this is going on it's actually beneficial because it's not putting pressure on the brain. His mother is immediately around $100. Because of the platform pregnancy. So thanks that this is done. I mean, knowing the quality of plastic surgery that exists these days, and given the fact that it's a benign bone tumor, perhaps there is a reasonable solution. This looks like a type of fibrous dysplasia where fibrous tissue actually replaces the bone, so it's growing this abnormal. Doctors in the tried to remove this tumor, but it only made it grow bigger and more frightening. I'm running at about, it's just looking like in my so that's not an unreasonable concern because all it has to do is block off a vein, block off the vital structure, and you can create massive from the inside. With Trini's medical records from Uganda, the doctors in the UK are able to diagnose her. She has a condition called fibrous dysplasia. There is no known cure for the disease.
Fibrous dysplasia is absolutely global. They are very rare treatment of both.
Even though it's rare, usually what happens in a single. The size of a 4.4 pound tumor is delicate and painstaking. 4 months later, Trini and her mom are back in Uganda and filled with gratitude. I wonder with fibrous dysplasia, if you remove so much tissue, does it eventually go back and you need repeated surgeries? That I'm not sure about. And she has big ambitions for the future. You know, girl, I love together. Trini's bones may grow back, but doctors from the Facing the World charity are committed to any future treatment. You know, that reminds me of a story of this company that I actually related to. We actually were able to do a device that went into FDA trials that essentially acted like a cookie cutter for those with congenital nose and ear deformities. Normally, a surgeon would have to take some cartilage from the rib and then shape it into a replacement ear or nose. But this allows you to just put the cartilage into the cookie cutter and press it and you have the predetermined shape there in different sizes to fit the patient's face. And it was a great way to be able to deliver care into areas where there weren't enough skilled surgeons to be able to do that type of procedure and significantly shorten the amount of time required for that surgery. It's pretty amazing that we're able to do it. We actually have a whole video on that. Thank you.
When doctors say there's no necessity to smile, and it's known to a woman who manages to smile against all the odds. Stephanie has harlequin ichthyosis, a rare genetic disease which causes her skin to be abnormally thick and severely colored.
Yeah, this is a condition not only affects body but also cause death very early on. Because remember, your skin is a vital organ that's not only potentially electrolyte balance standpoint, there's so much value in the skin, and for issues like this, it can be problematic and get quality of life as well as life.
Survival rate at birth is 50%, as babies with the condition normally die within days through infection.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. Two birds.
Stephanie, 23 years old, has survived with an enormous living female biomarker with harlequin ichthyosis, which has struggled her whole life in a condition where constant protection is required.
That is a barrier. Yeah, it is a barrier, and it's also a moisture.
I've all avoided them all, but I need no more.
I wonder if this condition is so rare and because people use 5 years life sometimes it's hard to ask this question if they have evidence to fall back on it. A lot of times it's speculation, it's just a best guess on I wonder if there's some Air Shuttle 4133, start up and put back approved. November, Quebec, Alpha, Quebec, runway 19er center clear to land. Wind 27 degrees, 10 knots. 1603, runway 19. Delta 7567, line up and wait runway 19 or left.
Okay. Okay, I said.
patients are set to sitting in a restaurant screwing up a pizza order than a surgeon removing the wrong limb, or a nurse injecting a patient with soup. Yeah, soup. Let's take a look at some of the worst mistakes that have ever occurred in hospitals, so perhaps you can try and avoid some of the obscure issues in our healthcare. Huge thanks to Grammarly and sponsors. In 2012, went into a New York City hospital to get a previous human surgery, a routine procedure called a tracheotomy, meaning an temporary tube for a lung procedure to take place. As he lay unconscious on the operating table, he caught on fire. The source of that inferno was an electric scalpel known as an electrical artery fluid as the doctor was using to cut. It began sparking and igniting his oxygen tank. He was fortunate, however, to escape this traumatizing procedure with only second-degree burns. Are there other reported cases of surgery that were released? Unfortunately, yeah. Over a 20-year period from 2000 to 2020, 565 surgical fires were reported to the FDA. Most happened because the environments were present with more than normal levels of oxygen. So in 2009, a German man named Dirk went in for a routine prostate cancer surgery. It was supposed to be a run-of-the-mill procedure, but afterwards he started having intense pain. Downstage 19 line up and wait runway 19 left. But a couple of weeks later, a home health aide noticed something that definitely wasn't normal. A gauze pad was coming out of Dirk's stitches. That was not so normal isolation. Scans revealed that 16 items had been left inside his body during the surgery. Swabs, a roll of bandage, a part of a surgical mask, needles, and other medical tools. What would propose during this surgery? Did the anesthesiologist mistakenly put the surgical tape to sleep? I don't mean to laugh, but this is extreme. It took 2 more operations to get all the objects out, but fortunately he did survive the procedure. Objects being left inside tissues is one of the most common never events, or a mistake that should never have happened in the first place. And surgical sponges are usually the most common item left behind. But usually we're talking about one object, not 16. We actually do a count before and after, and sometimes even having a flow chart of every object that went into the surgical field and returned. In 2012, an 18-year-old Brazilian woman named Hilda died 12 hours after being injected with soup. She was in the hospital because of a stroke that left her partially paralyzed. The soup was supposed to go into her fetal tube, but a nurse accidentally put it into an IV in her right arm instead. Hilda's daughter saw it all go down and said that her mother started to squirm and stick out her tongue as soon as the soup entered her ear. Death caused by incorrectly used medical device is another type of never event, and so is death associated with a medication error. Terrible that both happened in this case. While the hospital admitted to the mistake happening, they argued it wasn't lethal, but Hilda's official cause of death was listed as a pulmonary embolism, which actually supports the claim that the soup injection killed her, given that injecting non-sterile and large particles of soup can lead to clot formation, especially in smaller blood vessels in the lung. One night in 2014, Michael Cleveland went into cardiac arrest while doing grocery shopping. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead an hour later. When his wife Tammy reviewed his body the next day, he seemed less dead than she was expecting. Tammy claimed he was following her with his eyes, moving his legs a little, and then he tried to hug her. He kept showing signs of life over the next few hours, she said. So Tammy asked the doctor to check if her husband was really dead. She claimed the doctor basically ignored her request. He didn't perform any kind of exam or even touch his body. The doctor said Michael was still moving because he had a lot of life to expel out of his body. When a coroner came to take Michael's body away, he instantly called for a nurse because dead people don't move. The doctor examined him and, surprise, surprise, found a pulse. Michael was still alive. He was transferred to another hospital where doctors tried to open a blocked artery to save his life. Unfortunately, he died the next day, for real this time. In a negligence lawsuit brought against the doctors who prematurely declared him dead, his family argued that he could have lived if he'd undergone heart surgery a few hours sooner. The hospital argued that he would have died anyway if the delayed treatment didn't make a difference. A judge also ruled that Tammy's emotional stress couldn't be measured because she didn't seek therapy after the incident. Sometimes I can't tell whether our healthcare system or legal system is normal stuff. In 2021, a surgeon in Austria amputated a patient's right leg. The operation ran off without a hitch, except for the fact that while they may have operated on the right leg, it was not the correct. They were supposed to amputate the left one. They ultimately wound up getting both amputated. The limb mix-up happened because the surgeon had marked the wrong leg presentation before operating. In court, the surgeon actually said she didn't know why she'd done it and described the error as a flaw in the chain of command in the operating room. The surgeon was locked in mind and got moved to a different clinic. Sadly, the patient died for an unrelated reason before court decision was ruled, so their widow was awarded only about $5,000 a year. While amputation errors are rare, they do happen every now and then. Actually, back in 1995, a U.S. doctor discovered in the middle of the surgery that he was amputated with one foot at about 536, runway 19 center, cleared to land, wind 213, A nurse pointed out the mistake after reading the patient's medical records, and it was too late. That's why we have 3 surgical checklists. The patient needs to be waiting for, the nurse needs to be present for, and the doctor, so everyone can be able to see. Back to the mistakes in just a second, but first I want to tell you how I avoid mistakes thanks to Gremlin and let's see how we can avoid mistakes with our phone. Strap in because this one is nightmare. In 2007, Eric United 1475, runway 19 right, cleared to land, wind 22 degrees. Halfway through her 3-hour operation, she suddenly woke up in excruciating pain. She could feel the surgeon cutting into her. Although she was fully conscious, her muscles were still paralyzed from the anesthesia, so she couldn't move or speak. That meant she could feel everything, and yet there was nothing she could do about it. Over and over, as she later explained in the interview, Erin tried to move her finger to spell out the word help. It didn't work. Then she tried to stop breathing temporarily because she thought that might trigger an alarm and someone would realize she was awake. Nope, the doctors were behaving like everything was normal. As it turns out, the doctors hadn't noticed a leak in a device called a vaporizer that turns liquid anesthesia into gas and delivers it to patients in a controlled, simple dose. Erin received only 5% of the total amount of anesthesia needed to keep her stable at the time. But she got all of the paralyzing chemicals given alongside the anesthesia. The traumatic experience took a psychological toll of Erin, who couldn't sleep for more than 15 minutes at a time for the next 2 weeks. Following time she had to get surgery, she asked for local anesthesia, not general, so that she knew they could communicate with Joseph Dudley showed up to an Iowa Urgent Care Center in 2017 with disorientation, a fever of 103, and abnormally high heart rate and rapid breathing. Even though he tested negative for the flu, the physician assistant diagnosed him with it anyway and sent him over to the He was so busy he had to leave the clinic in a wheelchair. A few days later, Joe was still waiting for him anyway. He went to the ER where he was accurately diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, a life-threatening infection of the membranes covered the brain and spinal cord. He was admitted to the ICU and placed in a medically induced coma to minimize damage. He had already suffered 3 strokes, which caused permanent hearing loss in 1 ear, brain, and nerve damage. He sued the urgent care center and was awarded $27 million. In 1985, a newspaper photographer named Bob Reese went in for a surgery to remove a cancerous eye, which was planned on being used for research. Toward the end of his 8-hour operation, a doctor accidentally took a vial of formaldehyde-like solution, which was supposed to be used to preserve his eye after it was removed, and injected it into his spine. He was then quickly declared brain dead. The problem started when the vial of formaldehyde-like solution was brought into the OR by an ophthalmology resident without it first being labeled. Then a communication mix-up resulted in the nurse mislabeling that vial as CSF, or cerebrospinal fluid, which was removed and was supposed to go back into Bob's spine. However, thanks to yet another communication mix-up, both the vial of the real CSF and the preserving solution were both injected into the spine. His blood pressure instantly plummeted and his pulse slowed down. Life-saving measures were administered to try and help him breathe, but they didn't work. No one on their surgical team actually understood what was even going on. It was only until about an hour later that the ophthalmology resident who brought in that lethal vial of the solution came back and asked where it was. The surgical team quickly realized their mistake and accepted full blame for it. But speaking of amputations, a bus driver in India had to get his leg amputated in 2018 after losing it in an accident. When his family came to see him in the hospital, they found him lying on a stretcher on top of his own leg. His amputated limb was being used as a pillow to prop up his head. His family members asked the doctors if they would go get a normal pillow, but no one did. Eventually, one relative went out themselves and bought a pillow for the poor guy before his family transferred him to a different private hospital. Oddly enough, the doctors and nurses involved in the decision defended, saying they used a severed leg in order to give him immediate medical care. So did they get a gold star for their quick thinking? Not quite. Who were suspended from work, and rightfully so. In 2017, a 17-year-old boy broke his leg playing indoor soccer in Minnesota. He went to the hospital and got surgery the same night. The next day, however, he reported severe pain and numbness occurring in the lower part of his leg. Despite that, he was sent home anyway. After 6 days, he was still in excruciating pain, so he went back to the hospital and got a second operation. A different surgeon performed it and diagnosed him with a compartment syndrome. Serious condition where pressure is building up inside a muscle, leading to tissue damage. In the lower portion of his legs, the muscles were gray and couldn't even contract. That's because during the compartment syndrome, there is swelling and pressure, essentially cutting off all circulation to the lower portion of the leg and damaging nerves. 3/4 of the time, acute compartment syndrome is caused by a broken arm or leg. If the problem isn't treated immediately with a fasciotomy, literally cutting the leg open and allowing the pressure to escape, the affected muscles and surrounding nerves can die and potentially lead to severe infection, surgical amputation, and even death. Because of the delay in diagnosing and treating this compartment syndrome, he had to undergo more than 20 surgeries and was left with permanent disabling damage to his leg. He sued the hospital for failing to provide proper treatment and informing him about the risks of being discharged. A jury awarded him a sum of $111 million, but a judge later reduced that to $10 million. He ultimately agreed to a settlement. Did you hear about the man with the most valuable blood on earth? Click here and check that out.
Ray William Johnson has been receiving death threats from people on behalf of a woman he claims is stalking him because she made a video claiming to be his daughter that he abandoned many years ago. Since then, he's responded to the allegations with threats of a lawsuit, and now the stalker, daughter, or whoever she is has made her own response. All the while, her original video is still up on TikTok, gaining millions of views by the day, as death threats to her supposed father continue to pour in.
This woman made a video saying that Ray William Johnson is her biological father, and now Ray William Johnson is threatening to sue her.
So is that what we're doing now? Just making stuff and then we get over 1 million views for it? Oh boy.
Girl, sometimes Delulu is not the solution.
Ray William Johnson is an American internet personality, actor, comedian, and musician, best known for his YouTube success. He gained widespread fame in the early 2010s with Equals 3, becoming the first YouTuber to hit 5 million subscribers.
Delta
Today,
1603,
Chino has over 18
line up
million
and wait
followers,
runway
known
30.
for its fast-paced, high-energy style, even when tackling serious topics like true crime. But one of his most recent videos is something more personal, putting himself at the center of a scandal that he says has people threatening his life.
This person even tells me to unalive myself.
And it's all because one woman is claiming to be his long-lost, abandoned daughter.
Know this guy. He's my dad, and he abandoned me. This is Ray William Johnson.
Going by Vanessa's Vibes on TikTok, her video describes a whole scenario where Ray allegedly had a fling with her mom and didn't stick around when Vanessa was born.
Now Ray, my dad, used to study in Columbia University. My mom went there too. She grew up in England, but moved to New York to study. And Ray thought my mom was fine, so they started dating.
She even provided photo evidence of Ray and her mother's time together.
Here's a photo of them at a bar having fun.
And then she broke down the story of her mother becoming pregnant, Ray's response, and the aftermath.
My mom realized she hadn't had a period in 3 weeks. She was scared to take a pregnancy test, but eventually she did. And yeah, she was pregnant with me. Surprise! She called Ray and said, "Hey, can we meet up? I want to talk." Ray said, "Sure." They met in a park. They saw a sweet family playing together. Mom said, "Oh, that's so cute. Do you ever want to be a dad?" Ray said, "Oh, hell no." He said his childhood was tough, and he didn't want to have kids. He just wanted to focus on his career. So my mom said, "Well, I'm pregnant, and I don't believe in abortion." Ray was like, "What the f***? You better get an abortion, or I'm breaking up with you." And my mom's like, "Well, my body, my choice." So Ray said, "Well, I'm dumping your stinky." And that left my mom heartbroken. Now she had to go through the pregnancy alone, and she got really depressed. She left university, moved back to England, and raised me all by herself.
And while Ray allegedly went on to pursue a YouTube career, she claimed that her life growing up was quite difficult as a result.
We struggled a lot, financially. Her parents disowned her for getting pregnant before marriage and dropping out of university. We lived in a hostel for a long time. My mom would get hungry just so I could eat. We were always told because it rains a lot in school, and we had no heating, just a single bed and 4 walls. Meanwhile, Ray was becoming one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet.
She went on to explain that since Ray was doing so
November,
well in
Quebec,
his
Alpha,
career,
Quebec.
her
Clear
mom
for
decided to
takeoff
reach
with
out to
44
him
degrees
for help.
by
So one day, she emailed him. She sent him baby pictures of me and said, "This is your daughter. You should meet her. She's amazing." But he didn't respond.
Vanessa shared that her mother continued to email Ray, describing their struggles with him, but with no response. She tried to find other ways to connect with him, reaching out to old school friends and even his mother. This worked, and his mother admitted she had no idea that Vanessa existed and gave Vanessa's mom Ray's phone number.
My mom called and Ray picks up. She asked, "Have you not seen my emails?" Ray said, "Yeah, I did. Didn't you get the message? I'm not interested. Go get a job." And then he hung up.
Vanessa ends the video with a message for Ray.
So Ray, if you're watching this, hi, I'm Vanessa, the daughter you didn't want.
That's some pretty damning evidence against Ray William Johnson, right? Well, a number of commenters believe so. Why didn't he at least pay child support? Court, y'all need to do a DNA test if he is in denial. Oh wow, I would never have expected a video like this on Ray. And some were expressing how Ray was clear from the beginning how he felt. OMG, I love that dude. Sorry, sometimes women need to listen. He told her from the jump he didn't want that life, and she made choices. For real, I'm sorry. He said he didn't want the kid. She chose to be a single mom, knowing the consequences it came with. If this is true, I'm missing the problem other than your mother's decision-making skills. So, what did he do wrong? Her body, her choice. His body, his choice. But many simply couldn't get over the fact that something wasn't adding up. You look older than him. How do they look the same age, LOL? Are you sure? It's like you guys are the same age. I will not believe this until Ray says something. He wanted to be a YouTuber. Nobody wanted to be a YouTuber in the early 2000s. YouTube only started in 2005. And with such big allegations against him, Ray couldn't stand by in silence. Apparently Vanessa had a prediction. Ray response video coming soon. And sure enough, Ray decided to respond to the claims that were later.
Guys, I have a problem. I think I might have a stalker.
Ray goes on to refer to Vanessa as Joe Goldberg, a reference to the excessive care of her from youth. He then explains who she is, the kind of videos she's done in the past, and how nothing was working for her. For context, she began sharing content on TikTok in late 2023, and since then has switched around quite often on the style of her content, including Get Ready with me videos.
Get ready with me to go to the gym.
Personal satirical stories.
5 days I expect no matter what. 3 and 2 hours. I won't be caught and intimidated. 2. I do not to be carried everywhere. My shoes are too nice to hold me.
And then to more dramatic true crime stories.
Third, great research. You might see this guy all over social media. The issue is the villain of the project.
And after each attempt didn't bring the success she was aiming for, she decided to try something else. Vanessa decided to replicate Ray William Johnson's very successful video style, including his signature start to his videos,
This isn't Elizabeth Smart. This is the path that we know.
as well as using AI-generated comic-like visuals intermingled with shots of her explaining the story.
This UFC battle is one of the biggest money heists in history. And his name is Lee Murray.
She tried this for a while before eventually creating a video telling the backstory to Ray William Johnson himself.
So this guy is one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet.
Go
This is
Bravo,
Ray
Victor, Victor,
Williams.
runway
That's
19
right.
center,
She
clear to land.
actually
Wind
created a
30
video of the
degrees,
very
9
man
knots.
she had been talking for months.
Here's the thing though, she doesn't just want views from this video. She's hoping this video will get my attention and that I will personally reach out and acknowledge her.
Which is something that Ray watched her admit while on a live stream, saying that when Ray didn't reply to her video on him and his likes, she went on with her life, but really just wanted him to acknowledge her. Even though he didn't comment or DM her about this unsanctioned biography,
Golf, Bravo,
it did
Victor,
bring her
Victor, taxi to
significantly
stand,
more
taxi
views
free,
than any
6.
other video she had done in the past. But she wanted more, so she decided to go bigger, much bigger.
And so she decides, okay, I'm gonna make another biography type video about me. But in this one, she's gonna use all her previous skills, grifting, rage baiting, and telling weird lies about herself. And so in this video, Goldberg makes this outlandish claim that I got some woman pregnant and that I have a secret baby that I've been lying about. And keep in mind, I'm married. So imagine how my wife feels when she hears this.
He then breaks down the basis of Vanessa's claims before detailing 5 reasons that they were fabricated.
1, I didn't go to college in 2002. My senior year was 2010. I used to vlog about it very publicly. It says it on my frickin' Wikipedia page. He began posting videos on YouTube during college. YouTube wasn't around in 2002. 2, this image that's, again, supposedly from 2002, you're telling me that I've looked the exact same as I do now for the past 23 years? Really? 3, since I was in college around 2010 and I got someone pregnant that year, allegedly, that would mean that that baby now in 2025, that baby is 15 years old. This woman is not 15 years old. This woman is at least 35. 4, I can't have kids. I don't want kids. No offense to anyone. I went and got a vasectomy. 5, this alleged picture of me and her mom from 2002, it's so obviously photoshopped that it's comical. Look at the size of my head compared to this woman. Also, look at this weird right angle in the hairline. What is that? And look at this iPhone in her hand. Now remember, this picture is supposed to be from 2002. What year did the iPhone come out? Did her mom time travel to get one of these? Not to mention the AI she used is causing the phone to bleed into the table. So you got like half an iPhone here.
But even more proof that the photo wasn't legit, the original photo wasn't just something found on the internet and photoshopped together from scratch. She took it directly from his own Instagram page.
It's my photo of me and my wife. This photo. She stole it from my Instagram.
That's right. And this little orange cat that you can see at the bottom of Vanessa's photo of her parents is, you guessed it, Ray's own cat, Mr. Kitty.
And the worst part is, the absolute worst part, is that people actually believe her. They believe this obviously Photoshop picture where I got an oversized Stewie Griffin head. Like they looked at this half-an iPhone and they were like, oh yeah, this looks legit. And so they're writing me terrible, hateful things.
Ray even shared a few of the screenshots he had taken of the nasty things his followers were sending to him. One allegedly even telling him to end his own life. And to the people who were believing Vanessa's story and thinking the ages matched up, Ray had a little dig into her past videos which provided some evidence to support his denial of her story.
How? She can't even get her own age straight in her videos.
I'm not going to say my age. I'm 22 years old. I've said I'm 22 so many times. I'm 27 and my boyfriend is 30.
But something Ray really couldn't get over, aside from the clearly photoshopped picture, age that didn't add up, and all the other outlandish claims, that she just wouldn't let it go.
She doubles and triples down on her lie. She's like replying to people in the comments, expanding on her story. She's going live and talking about it in greater detail.
The little stupid child support mom didn't have money for lawyers. And like she tried to get like free lawyers.
And in her live streams, the ease at which she lies about this stuff is unsettling.
And Ray had one final message he wanted to convey to Vanessa.
Whatever the psychopathic reason, let me address Goldberg herself real quick. Madam, you did it. And now I'm gonna give you the attention your real dad clearly never gave you. This like stalkery that you're doing, it's not okay. Like photoshopping over pictures of my wife to perpetuate your weird lie? For what? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got your first million views, you got the views you wanted, you got a bunch of followers from it. And this strategy, it'll work for about a week. But what are you gonna do next week when this stops working? And I hope you know, from this point on, every time you make a video, people are gonna say, hey, isn't that the crazy woman who became so obsessed with Ray that she made up an elaborate lie about being related to him?
And, well, Ray's prediction ended up acting as more of a call to action for his followers. and we actually did start filling Vanessa's comment section with this sentence. But did all of this evidence against Vanessa's story faze her enough for her to tell the truth? Apparently not.
Just posted her new video, her part 2 of Ray William Johnson, turned the comments off and is doubling down on him being her dad and calling him out.
So my dad finally got in contact with me, but not to say sorry, not to ask how I did, not even to say hello. Instead, he threatened to sue me. He sent me an email saying if I didn't take the video down, he was going to take legal action. He originally said my video was cool, but I should take it down because it was ruining his reputation, and that we should keep family business within the family.
And she is not backing down and actually airing him to do this. She was lucky that Ray William Johnson was nice the first time, but with this new video from a couple hours ago, I can promise you he is going to probably actually sue her and not be nice this time. And this girl's little 48,000 followers is not going to be able to pay all the legal bills that she's going to need when she goes up against Ray William Johnson.
But according to a comment left on a TikTok covering the story, Ray himself denied any of that ever happened. I never emailed or contacted her. Yeah, she faked those too. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Vanessa is safe either. Considering the death threats and unprovoked tension in his marriage that these alleged lies have caused Ray, could he choose to take legal action against Vanessa?
Could I sue? Absolutely. This would be the easiest defamation case I would ever win.
And people agree that Ray can and likely should take this route.
By the way, you literally can be sued for defamation for this entire thing.
You're gonna need a really good lawyer, sis. Good luck. Even with this possibility leaving, Vanessa didn't back down. She said that the proof of his claim that he wasn't in school in 2002 coming from his Wikipedia page that can be easily edited proves nothing, and his video about having had a vasectomy was in 2023, long after she would have been born.
You say you hate kids, which is why you abandoned me.
Why would you still lie? This is so weird.
But what about Ray's proof that Vanessa's photo was photoshopped?
And yes, the image was fake. I edited your wife out, but not your head. You just haven't been fake. My mom didn't give me the original photo because she didn't want any drama. But I needed something to support my story. Now she's giving me the real one.
There is not a butterfly net big enough to handle this kind of crazy. He got you. Okay, it's time to drop it, turn around, and move on. But like, he's doubling down. Why? Why? When she said, yes, I think the first one, but now I have the real one. That is textbook pathological lying. Okay?
But she wouldn't lie twice about this, would she? Apparently she would. Taking a close look at the photo, you can tell something isn't right about it. But one TikTok account actually found what looks to be the original photo to compare it to. And it seems Vanessa couldn't help but to continue.
I have one solution. Take a DNA test. But instead, you're avoiding it. If your marriage is affected, it's only because you don't want to give your wife children. Yes, here I am.
The whole video replying to Ray's response was shifting the blame to him, still sticking behind her claims, showing more proof, and calling for him to admit the truth. But apparently Ray wasn't the only one getting threatened, and her comment sections continued to be filled with hate.
I've had people tell me to unalive myself on live stream and tell me I'm worth nothing.
But the weight of this all seemed unbearable for Vanessa. Just one day later, she cracked. In an emotional video, she confessed.
So guys, I lied. Obviously, Ray William Johnson is not my dad.
That's right. It was all a lie. All of it. But why did she do it?
It was my last shot at making something happen on social media. I got impatient with my channel and I always knew that controversy, it always blows up on social media because people love the drama. And I thought maybe this would be my moment.
But Vanessa goes on to minimize responsibility by saying,
I knew the video was fake and I thought it was obvious.
however, she did explain that she didn't mean for things to unfold as they did.
I didn't think through the consequences. I definitely didn't expect Ray to get that much hate. That was never my intention. I thought people would laugh, but instead people took it way too far. Both Ray and I have been told to unalive ourselves.
Vanessa revealed that she had hateful comments shouted at her in the street and sent to her family members privately. She then gave a backstory to her life, explaining that she grew up being bullied and she she wasn't going to let it stop for now. She went on to say that she wants to do what matters in life and make a positive difference, and that people can join her on that journey. Then she reintroduced herself.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Tavares. I'm 22 years old. I'm not 35. I was born in England. I did live in a hostel with my mom. And she was a very young single parent.
And she continued by asking people not to send hate to her mom, thanked her followers, and explained that she was determined to keep getting better at making her videos.
And honestly, it's just the beginning, and my videos are just gonna get 10 times better every day. Thank you, and again, I'm very sorry to everyone.
Airman 479er 90, runway 19 center, clear to
You asked for the
wind
cinnamon
12
challenge.
degrees, 109.
Let's go. I'm already ready to spotlight way. Coming down, bro. What? No. Oh, so much cinnamon. Oh, why? Do it. Anything makes it. It's a work milkshake. That's not the cinnamon challenge. You gotta put the spoon in your mouth. Let's get back to reality for a second. Some of these YouTube challenges are so dangerous. Lighting yourself up on fire, walking next to a moving car. But I'm more interested in talking about ones that you think are perfectly harmless, and they're not.
150 billion people have been asking me to do the cinnamon challenge.
I didn't ask her.
What's so challenging about cinnamon?
There's a lot challenging with cinnamon. Cinnamon?
So I had this, because I don't know how much you're supposed to take, so.
She's gonna do a ladle?
You just take.
Oh my god.
Alright, so here's the cinnamon, alright? Alright,
No,
here
wait,
you go.
she's eating a ladle? Oh my god. Oh my god, no! This can become a very big deal very quick. The cinnamon blocks your salivary glands, so you have no lubrication. You can't swallow properly. Because it's so lightweight, it actually can become aerosolized, and you can inhale the cinnamon droplets. If you get cinnamon into your lungs, that causes an inflammatory process because cinnamon is not supposed to be there. And when cinnamon is there, it can cause a condition known as pneumonia, which is an infection of the lungs. A pneumonitis, which is an inflammation of the lungs. These are serious conditions. 88% of phone calls in the first 3 months of 2012 to the nation's poison control centers were because of the cinnamon challenge. Don't aspirate cinnamon. Let me explain to you why eating a Tide Pod is so bad. This highly concentrated detergent that also at times has bleach in it can literally burn your digestive system, burn your esophagus, burn your stomach. And if you have a hole there, guess what? You're going to need emergent surgery. It could also cause you to become lethargic, vomit, aspirate, which means inhale your vomit so it goes into your lungs, which can then cause a pneumonia. And here's something that can happen in some rare cases, which people don't even think about. What happens when you mix detergent with fluid? You get a lot of foam, right? Well, guess what? When you bite into it, there's this considerable amount of foam, and if you vomit, it mixes with it. You have so much foam in your mouth that you may not be able to breathe. And when you aspirate this detergent, you're going to get a chemical pneumonitis, which is an inflammation of your lungs. That's going to be a life or death situation, all because of it. Between 2012 and 2013, every single day there was a child hospitalized as a result of these pod ingested injuries. Please do not put Tide Pods anywhere near your mouth. And if you have children at home, make sure the Tide Pods are stored somewhere very high up.
I'm doing the condom challenge and I'm gonna stick this in my nose and bring it out of my mom, and now it's not magic. Watch me do it.
I'm not making this up. I have a very strong gag reflex, and watching this
I'm telling you, I'm not that good of an actor. I'm tearing up right now. I feel like I can't watch the video further, but I'm gonna explain to you why snorting a condom from your nose into your mouth is a really bad idea. A, it could trigger your gag reflex, like it's doing to me already, and I'm just watching it. If you inhale something from your nose and it goes into your mouth and it triggers your gag reflex, you can start vomiting. And if you have something blocking your mouth, like the condom there, you can choke on your own vomit. There was actually an article of a case report from 2004 where a woman accidentally inhaled a condom and it got stuck, lodged inside of her lungs, which led her lung to collapse. How do you know that it's going to come out? Oh my God, you gotta do that. It's just wrong.
It's the latest phenomenon sweeping social media. Teens using shot glasses and bottles as suction devices. Oh, and yourself, lip enhancement. Some end up with lips that are so swollen and bruised, it looks like they've been beaten.
What people are doing is they're taking a small object that they can put suction into, and as a result, they're putting tremendous pressure in the blood vessels inside the lips. In fact, the reason the lips are a different color than the rest of your skin is because there's so much vascularity there, is because there's so many blood vessels there, and the skin is obviously a little bit thinner. This can lead to permanent scarring and disfigurement of your face. I'm not a person that says looks are everything, but if you have a scar on your face, if you got it as a result of doing something stupid in your childhood, you're going to be upset about that for a very long period of time. You can get likes and views on your face. Don't suck. Shot bottle.
Today I'll be doing a salt and ice challenge, and I didn't exactly know what it was, so I looked it up on Yahoo Answers, and apparently, basically what happens is you get frostbite.
Basically what happens is you put salt on your skin, and then you put a piece of ice on top of that salt on your skin, and that creates a combination that's even colder than the ice, essentially giving you frostbite on your skin. Yes, it's the equivalent of lighting the lighter and then holding that metal part of the lighter onto your skin.
I can't.
Oh my God! For the skin?
Yeah. Oh. That is a nice.
That's called a burn. Looks like a third-degree burn, but we can't tell yet. We have to see what happens.
It's weird though, like I can feel the skin around it, but then when I like rub over it, I can't feel that at all.
Yeah, because it's numb because of the ice, sir. In fact, when I do injections for people who are very sensitive, I spray them with some cold spray before putting an injection in, which numbs them up. You don't feel the injection. You're going to burn yourself. You're going to possibly create an infection. You're going to scar your skin. Why are you doing this? I don't know. But please don't do this. Don't do the salt and ice challenge. Good morning. I just thought.
So you open the bag, put this up and up. And then you put a marshmallow in your mouth and you say chubby bunny. And then you do it again, and again, and again, and again, until you can't do it.
Okay. This is actually the most dangerous part about it. That's why I'm watching it. So because of the marshmallows in your mouth, and you're laughing and you're trying to say chubby bunny, you can actually inhale one of these marshmallows, and if it gets into your windpipe, that's super dangerous. Because the marshmallow is so compact and it squeezes in, it can go into your windpipe, and as a result, be very difficult to get out. Like if you have a piece of chicken stuck in there and someone gives you high lip, it can pop right out. But because the marshmallow is soft and it gets sticky, it can get stuck there, and you could suffocate as a result of the Chubby Bunny Challenge. Got my blindfold here. I don't actually know what I'm doing. First of all, why do you have...
Well, that's completely the end of this video, and bye.